Reza Salleh. Welcome to the waiting room.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
Datang.
Right.
Selamat datang.
Hey, Fabian, you look like you're about to sell me some drugs in the 80s way.
Hey!
Hair slick back.
Fabian.
All you need,
Dodgy
all you
from
need is
day
like
one,
a jacket.
Yeah,
It's
jacket
the right
or-
color of
yeah,
t-shirt. It's
perfect
the right color of
color.
t-shirt. You just wear a jacket. You got the hair slick back. It's
That's
like
fine.
Miami
PJ
Vice.
Vice.
That's full on Miami.
PJ Vice.
Full on Miami Vice.
Oh
Penang
no,
Vice.
he's in USJ Vice.
USJ Vice. Oh,
USJ
how are you guys?
Vice.
How's everybody?
Oh,
Good,
God.
man.
All okay lah.
Okay
All
lah.
like that
Okay
lah.
lah, okay lah.
Actually,
Lah.
I should be
Alive.
asking you guys because all of y'all are stuck in KL. I'm in Penang, so that's pretty
I'm not in
fun.
KL. I'm in Bangi. It's a different world.
Bangi.
Bangi green zone.
Green. It's always green.
Oh, yeah.
Green
Always
in
green.
politically as well. Green.
Go.
Ah,
Yeah, very green.
you-
Very green.
Oh lah,
color.
used to be. Used to.
Fabian, you Penang fella, is it?
Yeah, Penang fella.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, too many states, too many people. Always mix them up. Nice lah, at least Penang. Yeah.
Sempat balik, okay lah.
Okay. That's
Cepat
it's been a
balik.
long day, guys.
Down.
Long day, man.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you doing today?
It's a cool.
So I think, as well, most of you or some of you know, I have a day job. I've had a day job since October, which is probably the most paperwork I've seen in my life ever. I think Azmail can attest to that. I'm not sure if he sees the amount of people I had to deal with. So today was, so I work for basically an organization. Well, I work for an organization that gives out funding essentially. And today was a day of having one-on-one meetings with people who have received funding. So it was like just a full day of just going through agreements with people like every half an hour. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
actually, to be honest, that is maybe the more I actually enjoy it because I think maybe Azmil might know this. I mean, I've been in the scene, well, obviously as a musician, but also I do a lot of work organizing and I'm on the ground a lot and I help, I do platforms and stuff like that. So I actually, part of why I do it is I really love talking to the people in it. I love the scene aspect.
Yeah.
I love the
of
people
course.
aspect. I love the community aspect. And I know this is kind of like bunga a bit. I mean, it's kind of like fluffy, but I realize I am very, it's just my personality type that I do well or I enjoy the community or the social aspect of these things. So even though when I'm doing stuff like paperwork and the dry stuff, but we do a one-on-one session and it's like, it's with somebody I know, and so I think we did one with Rekaya the other day. So it's like, hey, what's up, Then we get to talk, and we're talking about like the most boring thing. I'm bringing people through like agreements, like legal agreements.
Yeah.
I feel happy that it, I get to add a bit of human to this kind of process. I mean, funding is something, or applying for funding is not really Malaysian independent musicians' natural habitat. So we're not
Probably
really
not.
used to doing this kind of thing. We're not used to like filling these kind of forms. So I work for
I think
Chennai
any
before.
musicians, I think filling up forms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Period. Yeah.
I mean,
True.
I'll tell you, I've been working. I mean, for it's called Chindanas since October. Before I started working with them, I only heard bits and pieces, of them, and people would say, hey, "You should go apply for Chindana." Like, I'm like Chindana. Well, I think for me, like, at least I have a natural like, I don't want. So used to doing things on our own, for better or for worse.
And
I
it's
mean,
also- it's also probably not even trusting if you would get the money, if even
Yeah, that's mostly the
I
thing.
think
It's
that puts off a lot of
demotivating
musicians. They
that,
don't think they're going to get any money at all. Like, so like, why bother?
Guys, I will tell you, as someone who is inside it now, it's super interesting. I will say, I mean, I can't apply for these grants because I
Yeah.
work for Chennai now, but you should totally apply
Yeah.
because when I went in, I'll give you some like basic stats. When I came in, I think at that point we had maybe Chinana services like music, performing arts, visual arts, a few different art sectors. For music, we had maybe like six recipients, six people who had received funding over. I mean, Cendana is not that old. It's 2017 maybe,
Oh, okay.
and six people who kind of
In 3
received it.
years.
So yeah, so six out of maybe I can't remember the number. I don't know, maybe double. 12 people had applied for music. A lot of the applications coming from the performing arts side, which is very
Yeah.
clear. The performing arts people, very good at applying for all these things.
Yeah.
They're used to this, to the mechanic of funding. But, and you'll see that the few people that did apply are the fellas that are like, you know, when you get that hustler, not hustler lah. Yes, the hustler kind of quality in musicians. Brandon got a bit of it. Like actually Azmil also. Like just non-stop.
I think
Asmil
we
is the
are-
OG hustler lah.
Hustle. Those fellas will just apply, you know. They'll
Yeah.
just apply. They'll get over all the kind of, you know, self-conscious insecurity stuff that we have. I won't get lah. No, screw it. They'll just apply. And you know, by hook or by crook, somehow, you know, they will get it lah, whatever. But anyway,
The
that
only,
was about
the only image I've got in my head now is Ash. Ash's face is right in my head.
There you go. You
Ash
know?
is definitely, not only is he unbelievably talented, but Ash as a hustler, and Ash knows how to apply. Ash will know how to get the grants and apply for funding because he's not shy about it either. Like, because he knows what he wants for both Nadir and these other stuff. Like, so he will apply for whatever's there. Like, so Ash is
Yeah.
definitely one of those guys. Like. And it's not.
But
It's not. It's nothing derogatory to call a guy a hustler, because they know what.
No,
no, no way,
absolutely
shape,
not.
or form at all. Like they know what they want.
No, absolutely.
I'm not saying at all. You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle.
No. I don't mean it in a derogatory
No.
at all. I
Yeah,
think
well,
it
we
is.
don't.
I mean, essentially, we are entrepreneurs, right? We are
Yeah.
we are hustling. You know,
It is.
what
It is.
we're doing. It is.
We're selling our wares. We are selling. Or this is.
Yeah.
Oh God, please buy.
Hey, I mean, I tell you something. Funny anecdote. I went to the tire shop once. My tire had a punctured. So then the lady working there asked me, "Is like, so what do you do?" I play music and I record albums. Oh, you are a businessman, entrepreneur. It's like, see, the tire lady knows, man.
Yeah.
The musicians have to be, yeah.
Hey, but the musicians are getting smarter, you know, because I'm telling you, there are about six fellas when I came in, like six fellas who had gotten grants, whatever, before. Most recently, we launched like a independent music funding program, grant, which we specifically named it that way. We had like 100 plus fellas applying, you know,
Good.
Oh man,
From like
yeah, remember,
six.
man.
12 or
Yeah.
6 to 100,
Yeah.
and 100 we filter like maybe I think like 77 or 80 got kind
Oh,
of
that
like
one filter
evaluated.
there when it sampai.
Yes.
Wow.
No, actually, I think because how the system works is that you can put in an application, the form online, but you might not finish your application. So 100 plus people, I think 130 put in the application forms. Maybe about 90 completed their forms.
Okay.
And then after some kind of filtering, maybe like 70 plus, 77, I can't remember the exact number, got actually evaluated. But that's a huge jump from like
Yeah.
12 or 10 or like, or this kind of this feeling when I came in, it was like, oh, we're not seeing a lot of applications from the music side.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like in my heart, I'm like, I think just the music fellas don't really know.
Don't
Yeah.
know.
Or it takes a while. It takes a while. for them to
Honestly,
get around.
after like you and Azmil got elected into the board or the body, it was only then that I started seeing more Cendana posts about
Yes.
what's happening and where
Yeah.
to apply. Before this, it was just word of mouth from you. Like you will say,
Yeah.
hey, heard about this Cendana thing, go and apply lah. Go to this
Yeah.
website.
I think that's one of the points I also told you guys. The communication was the main thing, right? People didn't know. But you just look at the how tenfolds, right, from the previous. I think once musicians know, yeah, man, let's hustle. I think everybody's
And-
jumping in.
we had 2 cycles, so 2 rounds. Just now, the 100 plus, 130 plus, whatever is first round. Then we had another round after that, also around the same number of applicants. Also around the same number of applicants, maybe like 5% were repeat applicants.
Yeah. I
It's a
think
lot. It's great.
I think COVID gave the musicians a lot of time. They start
A lot of time, I think.
trying to
That's
realize
true.
what can we do, what else can we do, because they had
That's true.
a lot of
that
musicians
is-
had rode the gravy train of corporate and weddings for so long. This is easy, where you're playing 2 or 3 corporate events every week and making really good money, and then really have to worry about applying for stuff, and then that all disappeared. And then they're going to like, How do we
Yeah,
not-
man, what
Yeah.
the fuck happened there? My fucking god! Today I'm thinking, should I start a pork rendang business? Oh, fuck, man. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I had to let that
No,
out.
it is. It's
Brandon-
tough, man.
No, I
Brandon-
feel, I feel
Yeah.
it was really like a rug being pulled under a lot of
Yes.
people's feet. You know, I was
Yeah.
very lucky because I started in October, which is right before the shit hit
Sorry,
the fan.
just for
you
the
know.
people watching, we need to establish that this was October last year, right?
2019.
2019.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Oh
yeah,
my
we
god,
are,
it's already
we are in
1 year
October
already.
now,
Yeah, it's
so it
already
sounds
October
like
now.
it just started
Oh
like
my
3 weeks
God.
ago.
No.
So,
So since
for everybody
October this
watching,
year.
Reza has been with Chandana for a year now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, a year. Shit, I
Time
just
flies.
realized.
Along with Azmil, correct?
No,
Azmel
only this
recently-
year.
So for
I'm an advisor, yeah.
just as a general FYI, so Chinana, so we do grants, and then I'm even saying we now. What the hell? They give out grants,
Administrator.
and so but Chinana internally doesn't evaluate them. Chinana internally maybe does some basic filtering,
Yeah.
but the evaluations are done by what's called the industry advisory panel, which consists of different people from the industry. So
Is Asmal
we had-
on the music?
yeah, so recently we had a few members. They're kind of like on this panel for like a year or 2 years, and they have to renew. So 2 members got out, and then 3 new ones came in. 1 from the visual art side, and 2 music fellas, which is our own Azmil, and Mokhtar Rizal.
Yep.
Mm.
So which I remember, I remember putting like when that went out, because Mokhtar especially is not like upfront loud. He's like a quiet background
Yeah.
kind of guy. So his profile also doesn't look very, out there. So I remember when I had suggested Mokhtar, some internally, so I'm like, oh, who's this? Not really sure. But then when we announced it, so many people, I don't know if you know this,
Of course,
Azmil.
the whole world recorded with him, man. Yeah.
It's like, they did, Chinana did a post on Facebook. I think like
Yeah.
90 people reshared it. And like,
Yeah.
comments were like, oh,
Yeah.
Abang Mokhtar, like, oh.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
like, internally, even like, they were like, wow, they just kind of like, it kind of proved them wrong in a way that they thought
Yeah.
like, oh, who's this
Mokhtar's
guy?
been
But then
around
they
for
saw
so long, so yeah.
The community
Super long.
knows, man. Yeah,
He
man.
knows
Yeah.
everyone.
the
I
community.
I said yes when you invited me, because when you said Mokhtar, because Mokhtar was in first, right? When you said Mokhtar's on it, then I was like, okay lah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was very happy to be able to, that Mukhtar and Azmil got in, because I think they represent very different aspects of things. Mukhtar has recorded anyone and everyone from like really like
Yeah, man.
underground side of things to recording Yuna's one of Yuna's EP, one of her EPs or something like that.
Yeah, her
His range,
yeah.
and he's done work in performing arts and theater. And then you have this guy, Azmil, who's like
The last
hybrid-
person I would think.
hybrid mutant,
That's right.
academic,
That's the best
Hustler.
description. Hybrid.
right? Academic, hustler, singer-songwriter, force of indie nature. That's really, because it's you guys don't understand, like when I played my first gig that I was invited to, that didn't involve like self-registering for an open mic or playing at a talent show for college or something. When somebody actually picked me to play for a show, it was at No Black Tie, No Black Tie. And I remember, I think this is 2002.
Yeah.
Walking into No Black Tie. At that point, if you play No Black Tie, it meant something, It was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you made it, you made it, you can play No Black Tie. I remember opening the door. The first thing I saw was this large human being, which is Fariz Jinnah, who was the door bitch for this
Yeah.
show that I was playing, which is called Unclogged by Joe Kim.
Yeah.
And then I remember walking in, then there's a bar on your left, and I saw this crazy head fella, very back, with a guitar case on the counter open, this smile, and it was Azmil. And I remember thinking, and he was like, and I remember thinking, wow, this is the outside world. Like really. For music-wise, I felt like I was
Wow.
stepping into something. And
Ah.
Azmil was kind of like the first guy at the gate, you know.
Oh,
Like,
the
yeah,
first dude, huh? Wow,
yeah,
cool, man.
crazy ass hair. I'm like, oh wow, this is how it is. And then you walk into No Black Tie proper. You see Rafiq Rashid, this is legend singer-songwriter. He was doing sound that night. And then No Black Tie back then, the old one used to be so badly ventilated, so it's like gas and smoke. So they had this light coming down on the stage area, and it looked like a beam of light, you know, because you know all the smoke and dust particles. So it's really like this magic. Like
It's
Mr.
real smoke,
Bean
not smoke
moment,
machine.
you know, it's real smoke. Yeah,
Real
so
second-hand smoke.
and even by that time, Azmil already had like freaking 5 releases, like 5 cassettes or something like that.
That day, just that day alone.
You know, he was already so like his discography was like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, which this
was
world.
Like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Yeah. So that's why
Yeah.
this unique organism that is Azmil, I'm very glad to have on the panel lah.
Good
We're glad
time.
I'm
Good
there
time.
on the
Good
podcast.
job, Azmil.
Just giving back, man.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
interesting, man. Gosh, that was ages, man. Wow.
Was it just 2002?
Shit, that's like 18 years ago, dude.
Yeah. it
That was
is.
18 years ago.
18 years ago,
18 years ago.
I was 13 lah.
Nobody
Oh,
likes you,
man.
Brandon. Anyway. Nobody
wonder what
likes you.
musical
Nobody likes
phase were
me.
you?
Yeah. That's alright lah.
I wonder what musical phase you're going to then, Brendan.
I
13.
tell you right now, Azmil. I tell you right now.
Back to
Oh,
men. Boys to men. No, it wasn't boys to men.
For
Backstreet
my
Boys.
13th birthday, I was going through a phase between early 12 years old and 13 and 14 where I would cut out images of this artist from every paper or magazine I saw, create a scrapbook. I used to write lyrics down from songs, sit down next to a stereo, listen to words, rewind. What's that word? Keep doing it all over again. Who? Britney Spears, bruh.
At least you're honest, bro.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, I went through that, lah. That was a good time, lah.
It's fine. You gotta go through that. You gotta go
You gotta
through
go
the
through
phase,
that.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That
you know,
was
that's
my-
amazing because that does not feel so long ago. Like, you know, when you think you're 13 years old and it's Britney Spears, I don't know why I'm thinking like fucking James Taylor or something like something. It's like, oh, it was that long ago. It was around
It
that time.
was
lah.
that long ago, yeah. I mean, it was like a second album and stuff, but yeah, it was I went through a.
Not even
serious-
first album, it was second album.
No, I always like, I would save money to try and get the first. I was always doing the Backstreet Boys, Westlife, save 45 ringgit, go to Victoria Music Center and MCOP Mall and go and purchase a album and and then after a while
Oh,
it just
God.
kind of got too expensive. And Derek,
But you
would
went
understand
through-
because in the UK, how much is an album, Derek?
Originally the old.
5, 10.
No. Originally the old vinyls was the
No lah, not vinyl lah. A CD.
Well, yeah, the vinyls were originally about 15 quid, and then the CDs when first came out, they were around about between 10 and 12.
And what's your hourly wage over there? If you work, you get paid.
Oh,
how
you
much?
would have to. No, but back then when we were start buying CDs in the early to mid 90s, probably about 3 hours work to get a.
Okay,
minimum
you could
wage.
get an EP.
Get a CD, yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
so
But yeah,
Malaysia,
after a while we
McDonald's
just
3
found-
ringgit. Malaysia that time, work McDonald's 3 ringgit 50. How lah?
Correct. I was working
why
in
you-
Chili's and it was 3.90.
390, 40% more.
That's why you gotta go for coffee bean, bro. It's $5.
$5.
But then you must go for training and all that.
you don't
For
want
1 month.
Okay, what? Hey, wait, 1 month. 1 month.
That's what I heard about Starbucks lah. Starbucks.
Yeah, I
And
went
you get
for the
10 cent
training
extra
Starbucks.
lah. You
Yes,
get 10 cent extra.
I was a barista for Starbucks for like a month. The training is like 2 days only.
Oh,
Then
serious
this
ah?
is just fake news that went around that time.
urban legends.
Urban legends.
Pure urban legends.
Classic.
So
interesting,
Reza
man.
and Chandana, since the COVID hit, have you found more artists just coming at you, and not just the musicians applying for grants, even for other things? Have you found them just coming at you for other just to try and help the various art scene out and from all? Or have you even thought internal things about, okay, this has got really bad. Is there anything we can do as well to help the struggling artists, or is,
Well, when the MCO hit, we became busier than before. And it hasn't really stopped.
okay.
Partly because yes, there was that kind of feeling of like, oh, okay, we gotta mobilize. So we already had plans to implement certain programs to kind of, so the independent music funding program. We have another one called the Performing Arts Presentation Program. Essentially similar programs, but were branded or targeted towards specific the specific art sectors. So currently, what you can do with the indie music funding program is actually you could already apply for an older program that had kind of the same things, but it was called like the development funding program. And I think it was just people kind of like, what's that? But when we just spelled it out, independent music funding program, everybody just like clicked on apply. So it was a combination of different things, of kind of communicating things, adjusting the communication of it, being a lot clearer, recognizing what people were trying to look for. We came up with a program that was really just because of the MCO, called the Create Now Funding Program, which is a smaller kind of micro grant, like 1,500 if you're applying as an individual, and 3,500 if you're applying as a collective, which is the last cycle is currently open now, so you can still apply for that. That one is pretty straightforward. You just need to have some kind of like digital output, a clear digital output, like a video or
Or a podcast.
Like a video pitch. All right.
Pretty much. So I'll tell you, like some of our Create Now, or we call it CNF, beneficiaries include, I don't know if you heard of Gangsa Pura. They're like a young gamelan kind of group. They did like a 15 episode podcast kind of thing, but you don't have to submit all of those episodes under the program. You can just a few, that's fine. But I mean, outside of that, you want to do it 15 or 20 episodes, it's up to you. We had Jen Thompson has this Instagram series that's also a beneficiary under Create Now Funding Program. But it doesn't even have to be like that.
Generasiku?
Yeah, Generasiku.
Oh, that's under a Cendana program.
A number of the episodes from that were funded through the Create Now Funding Program.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be that complicated. It can be just, I want to record myself 3 songs, like 3 videos. That's a digital output. But it has to have a clear digital output. Some people kind of apply and they just give their bio, and then that's it. So it's like, what do you want to do? So that's a kind of key
thing.
Just
give me money, man.
Just give me money,
I'm broke, man. Give me money.
I think some people were thinking that way. And
of course they were. Of course.
Just second bank slip.
Just can you just put it in this Maybank account, please?
Yeah. No, we got really busy, and it hasn't kind of let up. I think right now we have 7 funding programs that are up.
But that's
and
great.
Also just to answer the second part of your question, it was almost like funny to me how almost oblivious musicians I can speak for the musicians, right? All these musicians was just so oblivious to the MCO and all that kind of stuff. It's so many albums, so many recorded works, so many things being applied for. It's like, I mean, speak for myself also. I pretty much decided to sort out my EP like during the MCO, and just like no kind of like can't really gig properly or whatever. Like, but hey, let's invest and spend some money into making something. Can I sell it? I don't know. But let's just
it's downtime. It's downtime. I mean, it's downtime. Yeah, it's okay. But but some of the applications were wanted to tour and all that stuff. Yeah, that one bit
a bit tough.
Yeah.
Wanted to South America.
Have there been any proposals that were catered to function around the movement control order? And were any approved?
To function around? What do you mean function around?
Meaning, let's say there were strict SOPs in place, and did somebody come up with something to cater to how an MCO was affecting everybody and how they could put out anything? If it's not visual or audio, like a show that was, I don't know, maybe I don't know, just something that was catered around.
Oh,
MCO.
like someone come up with an idea to be able to do a live show that was able you were able to
Yeah,
do
maybe
around
like
the SOPs.
anything. Yeah, anything.
Sort of like a drive-in, like a drive-in event or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
Nothing
maybe
that creative.
not something so big scale. I think in the Create Now funding program, which was more the micro grants one, we saw a lot of people across the board, like whether they were performing arts or music, kind of come out with stuff or propose outputs that were that had to do with the MCO or that worked around it.
Yeah.
There were like things like I think this was like in the thick of MCO. I think off the top of my head, like a violinist had proposed like a collaborative kind of work where she would record herself playing something, give it to a dancer. The dancer would look at the video, improv dance, record herself, send it back, and then get a video out of it. Someone
Okay.
did stuff like time lapses. Someone did wrote songs specifically about MCO, like quite inventive stuff. Like not a lot. Well, we get a lot of straightforward stuff, but from time to time, stuff that was kind of you could see that it came out from they used the situation as input and and did something out of it. Beyond that, generally, I think in all the funding programs, because it's such an unknown thing, right? We don't know how the hell this is going to pan out. We do have this disclaimer that whatever you do needs to abide by the guidelines or the SOPs of the time. So that's kind of like in your, on you lah
to think
figure
about
out
it, lah.
to figure out that part. But I mean, like, look, I just a rough estimation, like maybe 60% of the music applications that came in for the bigger grants were all recorded works, which were like, you didn't really had to figure out, it wasn't like some special SOP kind of thing.
Yeah.
They just they just on their own, abided by. I mean, I recorded during the MCO as well. So, but otherwise, it was just like, yeah, straight up applications for recorded works.
Was the recorded work specific that had to be originals, not covers, or did it matter?
We have some wording where it says that you can propose to do not adapted works. Adapted works is kind of loosely termed, but we do say that priority will be given to Malaysian works.
Of course.
And definitely originals lah. Like, it's much more desirable.
Cover other Malaysian indie musicians.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen. Hey, I don't know if you guys remember Azmil Indipretasi. Remember?
Indipretasi, yes.
Did like a P. Got all these indie acts to do reinterpretations of P. Ramlee works. So like that is what I was thinking in mind.
Nobody did anything like that?
No, we haven't
Nobody
seen
applied,
too much. I think the only kind of so generally you'll see people from the indie scene applying. You see some pop fellas. You see some fellas from the different scenes come in. But I think maybe just one from there was a application from guys who did a musical who wanted to record the album for it,
nice.
which I found was interesting, because you don't get a lot of that. Or you'll get one particular application I liked was someone wanted to apply essentially to do an classical instrumental album. But the applicant she verbalized that normally for classical kind of stuff, the people that get a lot of work are the more senior players. So she specifically wanted to work with younger players.
Nice.
Because normally what happens, the older fellas will get more work. So the younger fellas will either go very cheap or don't get work at all.
Yeah.
So she focused on wanting to bridge that gap, that's the kind of stuff that I like lah, because it addresses certain gaps in the industry. But again, it's not up to me. It goes to the panel to review. But these are the kind of things that we saw. So very encouraging, actually.
That's excellent. Good.
Reza, So what I wanted to ask is, well, I'm just listening to everything, right? So
Yeah, I was just
Um,
going to say Fabian is not talking for like
You know,
25 minutes.
being a journalist,
Yeah.
just being a standard journalist,
Absorbing,
just
absorbing.
processing
The fucking journals.
everything. So talking about all these proposals, right, Reza? Maybe you can also share. I mean, I'm just asking you to share because it's for the newer musicians out there. What is the process like? Just walk us through the whole process. Like, okay, so you just go to the website. Is it a straightforward proposal, or do they have to attach stuff like things that they got to do on their own, or is there like a template there? What's it like?
Okay, currently, we've tried because I think Chandana has gotten a lot of feedback from people about the forms being too hard, which personally, I think, okay, to be fair, I've seen the form a lot of times, but I really feel, I think if you do it once, after that, it doesn't feel that difficult anymore.
Yeah,
I think
correct.
if you've never done it, then you look at it, oh shit, this might look like a lot lah. But we've tried to kind of streamline it and make it simpler. But essentially, it's filling. You go online to the website. You look for the funding program that you want to apply for. There's an apply button. Actually, before you click on the apply button, there's another button beside it, which is called terms of reference. The terms of reference document essentially has all the information about the funding program, in terms of what it is, what is it funding, what kind of projects would be applicable, who might be eligible to apply, who are not eligible to apply, what happens when you apply. That document can be a bit scary if you see, because it's a sea of text. But I would say just slowly read through the damn thing.
Yeah.
I think, okay, once you're done with all that, you can click on apply. It goes to this online application site. You have to register an account, which basically, if you register an account and then you fill in a form, if you fill it halfway, if you leave, the form will still be there. So it's just to make things easier for you, lah. Save your
Nice.
application halfway.
Yep.
You go in, you fill in your name, your details, you fill in like your project title, a project overview, a short one. What do you want to do? Try to explain what is the project about. Basic questions. I think the main thing is like articulate what you want to do, how you're going to market it. I think, how you're going to market it. There is a file, a template Excel file that you can download to put in the budget. You need to articulate a budget, which includes information like who are the fellas, so if you are all included in this project, I'm going to put all your names, your details, what are you doing, a breakdown of the budget, and
Stop, Reza.
We're about to run out of time.
Yeah, breakdown of budget. Remember that we are going to run out of time and recording.
Typical Fabian, they ask us such an in-depth question. We literally have about 2 minutes to go.
3
in the
minutes
first track.
left. Fabian, like, you know what, Reza?
Yeah, wait. Can you tell us? Give us a 10-minute fucking answer this now. We will see you in the second half, guys. Reza, I will send you an invite. Fabian, I'll talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Budget breakdown. Budget breakdown.
Budget breakdown.
Okay.
So, budget breakdown.
Okay. I'll give you the lowdown on what's kind of, I feel personally is kind of critical when you're applying for these things. I can only I guess my best example is the independent music funding program that basically I oversee. Be clear about what you want to do. You don't really have to put any kind of like pretty words like this thing is going to like save the world and spread and unite. You don't really have to do any of that. Just clearly explain like that. I think that's the main question that comes across, like, okay, what is this? If it takes too long to try to figure out like what this is, then that might be a problem. So just be clear what you want to do. I think there's questions like, how do you plan to market whatever you're doing? And I think especially when you're seeing like 60% of the applications are doing an album, they're all gonna kind of look the same, like all these albums. Okay, so how do you differentiate? How do you differentiate yourself? It really is. This is my opinion. I don't know what goes through the mind of the reviewing panel. Generally, I think it's all about, does this person have the capacity to carry out what they're proposing?
Mm-hmm.
I think at the most basic level, it's that. Like
Yeah.
based on this submitted applicant, can pakai or not? Can this person kind of carry that on the most basic level? And then I think beyond that, it's more about whether, I mean, it's hard to be interesting when it's like a album, right? Because it's recording of songs. I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
But as long as it's clear, you can differentiate yourself in terms of how you market it. Don't say things like, I'm going to market it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. No.
Because everybody does.
If I was applying, which I can't, so I hope everybody will apply on my behalf, is I would frigging, and this is what I'm doing because I'm releasing this EP, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to release on this date. 1 week before, I'm going to do this. 2 weeks before, I'm going to do this. Leading up, I'm going to do this. I'm shooting a video, which I will launch maybe 1 week after. When I shot the video, I had a further take photos. The photos are released like maybe 2 weeks after or a lead up to it. Anything I can squeeze from, you know what I mean? So it's more things that
essentially
you say.
essentially take a kind of like a blueprint of a business plan that someone will go to a bank and put it into a musician's context.
So the
And then
more
you can-
detail you put,
Yeah.
in things like a marketing plan,
that
it
gives you
the
guys
impression-
more confidence in this
Pretty
specific
much.
follow through. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
or at least this person has thought about it, you see.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. Okay, cool. So the budget breakdown is where we stopped earlier is pretty important because the same thing. If you just give a one-liner, I want to do a music video,
Give me 5
15,000
grand.
ringgit. That's tough because you're like, this does, it's like if, and we see all kinds of applications, the ones that spell out everything, whether they got the breakdown from the production company or whether they include breakdown themselves, they spell out everything. So you can see, 15,000 is like, okay, 2,000 goes this, Then you also can kind of like, because 50,000 just off the bat feels like, like, is this, you could be conning me or what is it,
Yeah.
So, but if you spell it out, it's like, okay, there it is, okay, it's justified, and then it's also supported by who are the people working on this album, which is why, so one thing about Cendana programs in general, because there's limited pool of funds, or rather can only support X amount of people, so it has to be focused somehow. So the focus tends to not be super new people, tends to not be super established people. We try to find the sweet spot of like minimum of 3 years in the industry.
Yeah.
Minimum of 3 years being out there working. So, so at least it's kind of like, if you're still there after 3 years, which, some people say is too long, some people say it's too short, So it's like, it's this in between. At 3 years is okay lah, First year, you kind of try. The second year, okay, maybe you try to record a release. Third year, you kind of, in it. So it's like, okay, because they want to support these kind of
you've got a foothold. You've got a foothold in the industry, but you might need a help up. We're going to give you
not to say people who start just after a year might not go the distance. There are people like that.
Of course not.
But
They might get married. They might get married second year and they're gone.
Sure. Once they pass the third year, they never leave sometimes. Like some people.
Yeah. The love songs work too much. Like terus kahwin lah, mak tak boleh juga.
Thank you, Cendana.
So that's the next thing that's kind of checked. Like, does this person have minimum 3 years? If your profile doesn't spell out your track record, there's going to be another challenge.
Yeah.
So many nice words about what you do and what it sounds like, but like, when did you start, So just be clear about your things. It can be a list of years and just things that you've done. I think sometimes when you build a corporate profile, you tend to like keep your highlights and keep it lean or whatever. But in this case, just put everything, because they want to say, okay, this fella has done this for a long time, And let's say if you're doing music videos, you're working with a production company, include the profile of the production company. So again, it's like, okay, working with this other fella who also has experience, whoever your collaborators are. So it's not just like a bunch of phantom or names. So the more detail you can give, the better kind of impression it gives to people who are reviewing. So be clear about what you're doing. Be very clear about your budget. Is there a template for proposal? No, there used to be, but currently, at least for the Independent Music Funding Program, you just fill in the form that kind of gives all the information. You have an option to attach your own proposal if you want. But otherwise, you can just kind of fill in the form. I think depending on what you are applying for, there are some key documents you need. So if you are applying to do an album, EP or single, we ask that you attach a link to a demo. Because I think it's fair to assume that if you want to record something, you would have had demos.
Yeah.
If you wanted to organize a showcase, I think the requirement is that show me a letter or an email of your communication with a venue that you've already kind of booked, or at least like said, they're like, okay, Fabian did contact us and wants to do a show, COVID permitting, here around this date or whatever. So it shows that you know, I think if you, before COVID, if you wanted to do a tour, the requirement was that, or if, let's say you got invited to play at a festival or something, and potentially we could cover flights, we would ask for the invitation letter or invitation email to show proof to back up your claims. Besides that, just the kind of documents, the standard documents.
I mean, again, I think this is where I think musicians also need to be. We need up our game in terms of getting. We need to get familiar with all this paperwork Like you're not asking for money is it's not free lunch, and we're dealing with really square people who are holding. The people who hold monies are very square They follow procedures, right? So we have to kind of fit into that and find that sweet spot. I think that's where you come in, kind of like navigating and helping, And I think, this is where, I think this is why musicians always get fucked over some by managers and whatever, right? Because manager they do everything.
Yeah.
You see that again and again because we don't take care of our affairs. Yeah.
But there's a responsibility to the musicians as well to take care of their own affairs.
Exactly. You got to be like.
To just signing yourself off to some guy who's filling your head full of Mad Dog, telling you he's going to be able to do everything for you is a dangerous prospect. Like it's like handing all your money over to some stockbroker who says, "I'm going to make you give you a 50% return every year." You're like, it's just too good to be true.
But, I mean, that's why all this I think this application. It's great. It's opening up. I think it forces musicians to kind of articulate your ideas, which is great. I think we need that.
Plus, it educates them as well too.
It's educating, it's educating.
And which is the best thing for musicians. More education for musicians, the better. Because it gives them.
It's great.
It takes them away from just being musicians, more as being more thinking about what they're doing as being a business. Because too many musicians just focus on the art and not on the business side, and they're wondering why.
That's true.
They're wondering why they're not moving up the ladder, not succeeding where they should be succeeding because they've obviously got the talent to succeed. But if they're thinking by sitting in their bedrooms and playing 1 or 2 gigs every 6 months is going to get them anywhere, it just ain't. Unfortunately, no.
And I tell you something, man. This isn't being taught in music schools. They learn the instruments, they learn, but they don't learn how to. They never learn this side.
And I think there are movements to kind of address that, to kind of marry the academics, rather the school, the career syllabuses with more of the industry side, because I think we're finding a lot of music graduates from Aswara or wherever coming out and then flipping burgers. I mean, or not working in music essentially. So I think this being able to also realize that it's to be able to diversify yourself within the industry as well. Is a really important thing. But I tell you, I think we're getting better at it. I mean, sometimes there are just clear, and I can't blame them, miscues, or when people apply, they miss something, whatever, but people are learning fast and, seeing that it's, not that hard. And I tell you, it's almost, it feels a bit lame, but I'm so happy, because we're finalizing all this paperwork and stuff like that. So we get to confirm and award these people. And I'm seeing all these names, getting all this funding, and I feel so happy for them. It's just yes, go, just get it and do it, because it's such an unheard of thing from our time coming into the scene. Asmil before me and myself.
Nobody gave a damn.
No, there was no such thing. There was no kind of government kind of thing, unless there was election was coming around the corner, and even then also in recent times in the past,
only recent.
They'd have I don't know, Swara Kami or this kind of stuff, but there was no kind of funding for the arts before. It's great,
True.
I think.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
True.
All right.
Okay, so
Reza.
move us to on. We start going
Okay,
up
let's
to
move on to you,
Reza.
man.
Yeah.
Talk about
Enough
usually
about
the
that.
waiting room. Usually the waiting room starts off talking about the artist and their journey and all that, which we just didn't do earlier. So, Reza, tell us about your journey
How do you-
from when you first picked up the guitar.
Or whatever instrument, or the piano.
Yeah.
Or anything.
I was part of like the age-old tradition of taking piano classes when I was like 10 or 11. I did that for 2 years. Didn't like it because it's like an extra thing, right? We're doing like exams and all this stuff. Like, what the hell? I didn't do it. I was living in Kedah at the time. I'm not from Kedah. So my dad worked there. My mom was the one like, you want to try guitar lessons? So I did. Like, wow, okay, fine. I went. I got a really cheap like classical guitar. Played. It was boring as shit. Then one day I had to share a class with some guy, with some abang who came in, like a big brother who came in, like a share. The teacher went somewhere. It was kind of useless. I think it was stoned most of the time. This guy beside me started playing Come As You Are on his guitar. Just while waiting.
The riff. Wow.
Like, yeah. And I remember going back home and like playing that riff, coming up with variations. Just like, oh, yeah. And it's just like, oh, this is kind of fun.
It must
then
be
we
weird how
moved back-
so many people of our generation, first songs they learned on guitar was Nirvana. For me, it was
No,
Polly.
absolutely.
For me, it was Polly.
Absolutely.
Like for me, it was Polly. So like,
Yes.
yes,
Because you
It was
realize how like simple.
yes, how
Yes.
simple it was.
Yes, that it was the perfect gateway to playing guitar because
Yeah.
the songs were
Yeah.
built that way, right? I moved back to PJ, and I'm a BB boy. So BB has a music society, which you can join, but as a band, and you have to audition. So I remember when I came back to PJ first, I kind of stopped the guitar, and again my mom, I think she saw like an ad on our gate. It was from this. If you ever heard of this cutthroat music school called Mahogany.
Hi, M. Mall.
Oh
one is
yeah,
Bangsa
upstairs.
one. I went
It's
to
on the
Bangsa
third.
one.
It's on the third floor.
Bangsa.
Come on.
Mahogany.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
money
yeah.
on people.
And that nicely designed. So kena con. My mama again like, you wanna try learn guitar? I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So I took guitar lessons. My only condition was like, I don't want to do any exams. I just want to like learn like guitar, like acoustic guitar. I don't know why acoustic was opposite of classical guitar, but like, okay, yeah, just for fun. So I went in. My classes were literally this. A fellow come in, he'll take like guitar magazine or something, and then they used to have like tabs in it. They'll open like the song. Okay, we're gonna learn Wonderwall today. Okay, Wonderwall, yeah, I know the song, right? Yeah.
Oh God.
So he'll teach me the chords and the shapes, and I'll play it. And then
Okay.
he'll pass me the magazine, and I have to go downstairs to the photo
Photocopy.
shop, photocopy it myself, come back up and bring it home. And I was expected to be able to play it the next week when I come in, and I would be able to. And that was a very interesting thing for me because it was like I got into this thing where like no matter how hard the song was, I mean like Wonderwall, whatever lah, but we're talking about like getting used to the rhythm,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, right? No matter how hard, I had this programming that in 1 week I can get it. So we just played and learned songs this way, and I got into it. You know, I was in school. I formed the band. I'm part of the music society.
What was the name
Actually
of the
in
band?
Oh shit! Supernova.
Oh,
Supernova.
okay.
Supernova.
Supernova.
used to-
Champion Supernova.
We used to cover Rage Against the Machine songs.
Called Supernova, but you.
Oh, I remember you once breaking into a
Yeah.
Rage Against Machine rap, man. That was amazing.
still-
In Cambodia.
Oh shit!
Another story. That another story, man.
Yes,
Another
yes,
time.
yes, yes. Yeah. So we used to cover Rage Against the Machine song because my favorite band at the time was Rage Against the Machine. I played rhythm guitar. Somebody else played. We had a rhythm guitar and a lead guitarist lah, so we didn't follow the lineup. We played that, and I think at our talent time we played a Deftones song. And by that time I had transitioned to bass, and then we won the talent time, this kind of thing. And
You
then,
won
but on the side,
Deftones.
yeah,
Nice.
I think we played like 7 words or something like that. It was really fun.
Excellent.
But as a side gig, I would sing. for like so I didn't sing when I was part of this band,
Okay.
clearly. But sometimes when they have like canteen day or like teacher's day or some teacher retired, they will ask me to come and sing. So I would, because I had a bit of a voice, I would sing like Tracy Chapman or like freaking Wonderful Tonight or something. It was like my
A bit of a
side gig.
voice. Hold on, a bit of a voice. And you
Yeah.
singing Tracy Chapman. There's that. Those two things don't correlate. If you're singing Tracy Chapman, there's more than a bit of a voice. It's an amazing voice.
I mean,
They
you can
pull
sing
off
whatever
too.
you want, but whether you do it well or not is another.
If they keep asking you, then you've got a voice. Then
I mean, I don't think there was a lot of people who were, were singing that kind of
But-
stuff anyway. And
But I remember you used to always play Fast Car. The early
yes,
gigs. Yeah.
and I think
such a
that
song.
was much later. But yeah, I think what I used to play when I was younger was "Give Me One Reason."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I used to play that. That's the only Tracy Chapman song I knew. So that's how I kind of like started playing, but I started writing only when I got a girlfriend. I think I was 16.
Of course.
I got conned by Mahogany to buy a chord book with jazz chords. I found these 4 jazz chords. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mahogany,
you pun
yes,
kena.
I do.
You pun kena.
No, my brother
Your
kena
brother
the
kena.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Oh.
They
In
got a
MCOM
lot
mall.
out of
Half an
me.
hour
Fine lah.
lesson and then all the books, whatever, and then
Yeah. It's like an MLM
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. I got 4 chords. I rearranged it and made a song, and I wrote it for my high school sweetheart. And I was like, hey, this response is okay, huh? Oh.
what was
Work,
the
work.
name
Hi.
of that song? Do you know?
The song is called For Her.
And it's on your first EP that I have right here.
There. Is it in there?
2007. Yeah, it's here.
Is that on that?
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you, Azmil, can you please bootleg it and send it to all of us? Thanks.
Can you
Just-
hear it on
Folk
Spotify?
City EP, yeah, 2007.
It's on Spotify.
But,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, not this EP, but I think my first album, it's on the first
Yeah.
album.
it's also on the first album, yeah.
Oh, it's
But that was
also-
the song you played at your first gig. I remember you played For Her, man. You remember that?
Yes, yeah.
How-
Because I
How,
wrote it
how
in
old,
like
how old were you at your first gig that he seen?
I think 2002. I don't know, maybe 20 or 21 or something.
Oh,
But
you
before that, I had been playing at Peter Hassan Brown's open
Acoustic
mic
Jam.
called Acoustic Jam from 2000.
Yeah.
2000
Peter-
was my first.
Peter Brown, Peter and Marcus.
Damn.
Okay, yeah.
Peter, Peter Marquesa.
At that time, there was the only live music thing that was going around for indie musicians.
That had a kind of open kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could go on.
And where was
And
where
I-
was their open mic at?
That was at Bukit Damansara in Commonwealth House. So they would
Yeah.
have something once a month, and I got into this thing where I would write one song every month just to
Nice.
play at the open mic.
Nice. Nice.
And eventually, Rafiq Rashid saw me in one of the gigs and invited me to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
at a black tie.
He discovered you, man. I remember he was there
Pretty
saying
much.
that.
Yeah. And it was such a cool thing because if you played at No Black Tie, they would record the session and give you a CD of it after. So I had a CD of my performances, which I then would con some Australian. I didn't realize it was a con at the time, lah. But I kind of duplicated all these CDRs, got a colored like CDR cover, and sold it for $5 Aussie to within Australia.
That's not conning. That's DIY, man.
No, why I
You're an entrepreneur, Reza.
That-
Yeah.
why
Come
I
on.
say
That's
no,
called
why
punk,
I say it was
that's called punk rock. That's what's called.
Yeah.
why I say it was a bit of a con because years and years later, when I released my first proper album, and then I found that old CDR and I listened to it back. I kid you
Oh.
not, okay. I sounded so bad. I sounded so bad. My singing. I had to call
Okay.
Melina. Hey, can you please listen to this? Can you tell me, do I still sound like, because it was one of those things like I didn't realize, that I sounded so bad. And I sold so many people these CDs,
You
Had to
don't
check-
listen, you just
Right,
duplicate terus.
Right.
No, I did listen, but I think when I was younger.
Watch this poll. How many people here? Many of our musicians here first CD do we all think we sound horrendous on? Raise your hands. Show of
First
hands.
CD.
Oh, I did.
First,
I
first
sounded
song,
great
first
right
song
away.
recorded. Do we think we sound horrendous on?
No, but you also have to understand.
Not me.
I didn't write songs for a long time, but I have to say now, if I watch a recording of something that was put out like 12 years ago, Yeah.
Yeah, it's cringe.
no.
It's cringe-worthy.
Yeah,
like.
no.
So
yeah.
I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that, like, because it's obviously.
Yeah.
Plus, it was a live recording, so like, it wasn't processed properly, so like you shouldn't beat yourself up.
For me, my first band 25 years ago, we did first recording. I heard it. Oh man, I sounded like a kid. That's all lah. Yeah.
No, the
Yeah,
thing
correct,
is, I thought I sounded good. That's my memory in my mind.
So did we.
for first time listening and recording, right?
No, so and when I was starting out, having that kind of confidence,
That's
gave.
important.
I mean, it allowed me to do things like email PTO to play on a songwriters round. I think if I had a true appreciation of how bad I sounded, I wouldn't have like got in touch and like
No
hey,
lah.
wanna play for your thing. I mean, look,
You weren't
I just,
terrible lah.
fine, but just objectively lah, I was really shocked when I found the scene. I was like, holy crap! I really had to call Melina and like, can you please listen to this?
Melina
Tell me,
Williams,
do I
you're
still
talking
sound
about?
like this? Yeah, Melina Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, can you please? Do I still sound like this or what? Because I wasn't sure, my reality it wasn't. I was like, no, you don't sound like that. Okay, thank God. But yeah, that was.
But you need that, right? Yeah, to go through that phase of realization.
Yeah, I think you need the confidence. I think you need the thick skin as well. I think it's good. I think
That's just being a musician. There's nothing more humbling for musicians to listen to your old stuff. Because it'll give you.
No, but also I think that sense of just foolishness and just going ahead, that being driven, regardless. I mean, early on I was just let's go, but but you listen back like, oh man,
that's the hubris of youth. The hubris.
I mean, hubris of youth. I think it's very important.
Hubris of youth. And it's very important.
To a certain degree.
Very important.
You're full of testosterone. You're going like, I'm going to take on the whole world. You haven't been weighed down by fucking reality yet. There's nothing really in your way. Like you got a job, but it's just a job to get you to bag so you can record and play music and stuff like that. So you're not really worried it's going to be there. It's going to be the same job. You're going to be still there in 20 years. So hubris of youth is a fantastic thing to have. If only we had the knowledge back then, we'd be way better. But like, you can't have both.
But too much of that knowledge, you wouldn't have probably just jumped on it.
Too much knowledge, you would have had fear. Then you'd be like, oh no, I can't.
Yeah. Too much awareness.
It's like swimming, like you throw a baby in a pool. Apparently, they say they can swim, like the Nirvana cover, right? The baby, But if you're old and you don't know how to swim, you throw in water, you probably like splash around like a fool.
Yeah, so like
that's me right there. Being old and not knowing how to swim and
you can't
splashing
swim.
around like a fool. No. I went on one of those boat ride things with my friends a couple of years ago. It was a little house thing. Then 3 people lie down and hold onto handles, and one guy is standing at the back. It's like a little house going on water, and a motorboat is pulling. So the guy says when he turns right, everybody needs to lean left so that we are countering the water or whatever, and you don't topple.
Whatever.
Yeah. So my friends, they know I can't swim, and I've just got this life jacket, and I'm going the opposite direction, and these guys are like, no, go this way. I was like, shut the fuck up. That's not what we're doing. I'm gonna die. No, okay. So we get through the first one. The second one, this is how bad it is. After about 5 minutes, the guy who was standing and holding, who is our friend as well, he just disappeared, dude.
What do you mean?
Fell off.
Till this
Something
day.
happened, and he till this day, we haven't found him. But after a while, these guys were just fucking around with me, and this is how scared I am of the water. The whole thing toppled. The 2 friends who were next to me in a split second just chowed because everything was circling. The whole ride was going around like that. I swear to you, I've never held on for dear life as long. And I was just going around. Whoa, yeah, I'm not drowning. Yeah. And then, that wasn't my worst non-swimming. Shabas Club. My friend is teaching me how to swim. I'm about 22, 23. And he's teaching me how to swim. So he says, hold his shoulder and paddle, and then he'll take me. Halfway through, this is near closing time. He's holding the Olympic, he's holding the line in the middle. I'm holding him. And so I'm just going, and then after that, suddenly I look, he's pulling like that, and then, The string cannot hold already. And this is happening and I'm panicking. I'm like, we are in the middle of the fucking pool. I know I cannot touch the ground and no more string. I just managed to turn around just to see the lifeguard pulling off the line, Then I'm like, fuck.
Lifeguard wants to go home.
And my friend realizes this. I start panicking. I just sink,
down.
man. I just went down and I was like, and my friend went all the way in, grabbed me at my knees and lifted me up. But he didn't lift me up to take me anywhere. He lifted me up so I could get air. Then he left me. And then I just had to panic swim to the side. So I managed to just save my life.
That sounds like mahogany.
The mahogany of swimming.
Yeah, I cannot swim.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's
learning,
important.
Brandon, I'll teach you where he's from. So,
No pool gigs for Brandon. Okay.
No bull gigs. Reza, tell us please about your recently released single and your album. That's coming.
So it's a 5-song EP that is coming out on the 24th. I'm releasing it digitally. I wanted to release it physically on 24th as well, but CMCO is a bitch. So I think
it's all right.
I think the physical copies are only coming out on the 30th, so not too bad.
Okay.
What's it called?
It's called Years and Days. I almost forgot for a split second there when you asked me. Years and Days is what it's called. It's very interesting because the last time I released something, there was no Spotify, just like YouTube kind of thing. So it felt like, oh man, this interesting thing to figure out. Even the fact that when I found out that, okay, the physical thing is going to be slightly delayed, but I can still release it digitally as planned on the date, via Bandcamp. So nothing really changes. And it's this whole kind of like decentralizing of my focus and control over something that I realize now with age is not going to work out the way you plan. So this is kind of like, let's see how this works. I have limited resources, so I'm going to just stretch it for as long as I can. It's 5 songs. It was meant to be like a 11-track thing, but I kind so I have 6 tracks waiting in the wings. Kind of decided to go with a smaller thing because it just seemed a bit more cost efficient. It just seemed like I could maybe get more mileage out of it. The 5 songs that we picked made so much more sense. It was much more coherent as one release. And it just felt like, why not? Because I kind of want to give it as much attention as I can. I feel when it's a bigger release, because my last album was like 14 songs, things kind of get lost past track 6 or something like that, And, it feels like sometimes the only people who care is yourself. So I feel like, okay, maybe just do a 5-song thing, keep it kind of nice and focused. I kind of planned it out. I would release the 5 songs on sale on the 24th, but then on the streaming platforms release the songs one by one every other month, so that will give me like, I don't know, like maybe 6 months, of pushing this, release stuff in between, and see how it goes. I really love the record, which
it sounds amazing, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Who did you record it with?
It was produced by Melina William, who also produced my last one. So she knows the songs really well because she's been playing them for a long time. It was recorded at RMP Productions, which is a studio by Rozan Razman.
So you recorded it with Rozan?
Yep.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's the former live
Play Space. Now it's a studio. So he recorded it, he mixed it, and he mastered it.
Rozan and Melina are a great partnership.
Melina produced it. She arranged almost everything. She did all the programming on it. And really honest, it feels kind of gross, but I've been listening to my own EP a lot for the past few weeks because really she did such a great job. She just really did so much for the songs, is all I can say, really. So it's just...
Hey, no shame in that, man. If you don't love it, then why would you unleash it to the world?
I guess, but it's weird because it's almost like, wow, it really doesn't matter if people don't like it because I love it
because
so
you
much.
like it,
Well, that's the
and it's interesting.
That's the first
It's
protocol
interesting.
ticked off, that you
Yeah.
actually write
Yes.
your own stuff.
Yeah.
I think the entrepreneur in me in the beginning was kind of slightly worried because some of the songs in my mind, I didn't know whether they could sell locally. It didn't have this kind of like, as I understand it, this commercial value here. So for a while, it's kind of like, hey, how? And then I think, as some of you know, I founded a swing jazz band, which got a lot more gigs
Yeah.
than
The Frankie
Which-
Sixes.
which we
Yes.
got a lot more gigs than my indie stuff. And then somehow I found like, hey, and I started writing for the swing jazz band. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I can write the commercial accessible stuff here. And that took off a lot of the pressure
Yeah.
from
That's
this EP.
good.
And
You
suddenly I felt like free,
another outlet for that.
pretty much. And,
Yeah.
and it really
Plus, you have to
feels
start-
like a,
It's always a question.
About
now.
time, dude.
should ask-
About time.
yeah, I know, right?
It's always a question that
know.
every musician should ask themselves: is what does success mean to you?
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're recording, writing your own music. Yeah, I want to be successful with my own music, but what does that mean to you? Like, so like you should have the freedom that your success means I love my own recordings. That should be the first
Yeah.
box you tick, and then you tick you go down the list. You shouldn't be like going
And-
success means the top box shouldn't be like, oh, we've hit this demographic. This demographic likes our stuff, and then
Yeah.
somewhere down the
Yeah.
list, you actually like you sort of like your own recordings. So you're like, oh god.
And also, you play music people like, and you got Frankie Sixers, you do stuff. I mean, that's why I got so many bands. You know, I mean, I don't fuck around. You know, some guys like to fuck a lot of chicks. You know,
Well,
I have a lot of bands. I'm I'm promiscuous with bands.
I
Yeah,
think-
so
I
let me
think-
put that clear. Huh? All right,
think that's
but it's true. I mean, like I think we just gotta spread it out. You know, I think your creative juices.
Speaking of spreading it out, it's going to take us into the third part of Rezas. Quite happy to stay with us.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the conversation is going really well. So in the third part, I think we just continue on with
album.
your new album, and plus I really want to get into Frankie Sixes too, which is a band I really really like. I think that's got so much potential for so much good things. So we'll get into the Frankie Sixes as well in the third part of the podcast. So we're just at the end of part 2, and we'll see you in part 3 in a minute. Cheers, guys.
All right, trilogy.
Looks like it might be 3 and 4. I have a feeling Frankie Sixers will just take up the next section. And we'll do 4 after that.
Okay, guys. See you in a minute.
Okay.
Good.
Bye.
All right.
Album's gonna be angry album.
And and we're back for part 3, guys.
Yeah, I wanted to say I really hope that you guys get to hear the new stuff, because I think the strongest feeling I have now is for people to listen to the songs. I know, I mean, it sounds like a no-brainer, right? You want
Yeah.
people to listen to it, but I just really feel like it sounds almost cheesy. Like I'm hoping, I mean, you guys, I think maybe some of you have heard the first song already, and I'm just, please, more people, just listen to the songs, because I think that's where I'm feeling it the most, being able to share the song craft and stuff like that. And that's the thing that makes me excited.
Yeah.
Not so much of, selling or getting somewhere. It's just more like, just getting more people to listen to the stuff.
Well, that's how you know. That's how you know
Fuzzy.
how excited you are about your own song.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, for you guys especially, because
Sweet.
we're all in this.
Yeah. That's
Sweet,
true.
man. I mean, it's interesting also the route you took. I think doing crowdfunding, and I mean, we've got to be inventive now to find ways to make more work happen, right?
I'll
Tell
tell
me
you,
about
that was never part of the plan to do that crowdfunding
okay.
route, because I feel I don't really like crowdfunding. I don't, but
Understand.
always the image for me was always like, you have those crowdfunding sites, and then you have the goal, then you have to meet the goal, and then you have to start selling Amway and stuff to get people to.
Yeah,
I never
there's
liked it.
prizes and stuff like that.
I
there.
never liked it. I just
Understand.
feel really stressed and really paise about these kind of things,
Mm.
But what happened was, so it's ironic because I can't apply to for Cendana funding, but working at Cendana helped fund the album, essentially from my gaji.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so I was that was the plan, and I had been doing that. And what happened was, I don't know if you guys know Amir Muhammad, and he's a local writer, book publisher. So he had released the book recently, and I just happened to see on Facebook that they did this crowdfunding thing. Like, you pay the retail for this book they were releasing was 35 ringgit, which is the same as what I'm selling the EP. They were like, pay $50 and we put your name in the book. I'm like, hey, it's pretty straightforward. There's no like, they didn't use any kind of like GoFundMe site or whatever. They just use a Google form. And like that, I was like, I think I can get behind something like that. So pretty late into it, I decided, hey, why don't you just do this lah? Like a simple thing, $50. And like, you get your name in it. And it just became this idea and I went with it. And I'm so happy that I did because it found that it achieved a few things. Number one, because even though I haven't stopped playing, I haven't had a release for a long time. And I think sometimes people, it's almost like if you don't have a release, it's like you don't exist or something. So I found that when I did this crowdfunding thing, it almost like woke up all these sleeping supporters, my friends and stuff like that. Like, oh, you're doing something. Okay, come. It was almost like an excuse for them to support. That was one thing. So you give an option for your supporters who sometimes also you don't really realize these people like who have been with you. I was seeing names I hadn't seen in years, you know, and just like not necessarily like close friends, but people who have been there from day one. It's like, I'm supporting this. So you're giving them a chance to do something. It was also a good way to kind of like, hey, I'm doing something. It's coming out like next month. You know, to get people kind of like used to this idea instead of just like I'm releasing something today. So it just plugged into this kind of like this is that entrepreneurial marketing kind of thing. And it helped, man. I think we pushed around 200 CDs or something like that.
Cool.
So
That's fucking good going.
Yeah. So
I mean, you make it yourself. Make it your own thing. It's fine. Yeah, the idea.
Yeah, and it was fun. I think even doing the Google form, I had one question. I had like a few random questions here and there. But I think the last one, I was kind of like, tell me a story. What did you eat? What did you last week? Hey, people, wow, the exercise is creative, right? You know, some people told me what they ate. Some people told me a story. Some people like macam-macam lah. And it just became like this fun thing lah, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, that's your power as an artist. We underestimate that you know you a conduit for your fans or listeners or even friends. You know, little things like that. It's a simple question you did in that form.
You know, and that's the thing. You just said it, like little things. Like I just saw one post by the publisher, and it became this idea. Similarly, I mean, we have a video. We shot a video of it, which I'll release like later on. Melina texted me one day and was like, hey, you know what? If we didn't have this MCO, I would host a listening party at the studio for people to come. Yeah. And I was like, how many people is okay to host at the studio actually? We started this conversation, which led me into doing a listening party at the studio, but I only invited kind of like people who organize festivals. So I was like reactivating like the old networks that I had, like Ahmad Izam Omar likes my stuff. So like invited him. So I had just 2 sessions, people coming in, just like listening. Never did a listening party before. But yeah, it was like, it just became like another thing, part of this journey. I'm going to use the video we made from it as part of the content. It serves a few different things. It's just been really fun trying to figure shit out. And I feel, and I don't know if some of you have seen, I've been trying to keep a journal of like on Facebook, like the posts. And I really wanted to do that. Well, first of all, to also kind of like, hey, I'm telling this thing, this build up the anticipation. But what I'm really hoping is if people kind of, musicians to kind of read, I wanted to like just I'll tell people about what I've been doing. The same way I saw that book publisher had his idea, maybe somebody else can see and also maybe get an idea. Maybe I can do that.
Yeah, correct.
Can I pay it forward?
That's very true.
And we don't have enough of that. We don't have enough of us sitting down and just sharing. I mean, look, there's no kind of like, I don't want to share my ideas because the pie is small. It's really don't have. It's the potential for us just getting bigger pieces of the pie is much more when we are together and we share this knowledge.
They don't realize.
Of course.
There is the insular thinking as like we can't share our thing because the pie is so small without realizing that's the long game is if we're all together, the pie is going to get exponentially bigger. So the
Absolutely.
chances for making for us all succeeding is there if we all just stick. If we all create our own whirlwind, create our own scene, we're going to create our own pie rather than trying to pick off other bits of other people's pies. We can create our own pie,
Correct.
which is a better pie.
And Malaysia is small. We don't have pie. We have kuih bakar.
Yeah, correct. It's damn small.
Malaysia's
thing is,
not, that's the thing, Malaysia's not small. Ireland's a country of 6 million people. There's more people in the Klang Valley than there is in the whole of Ireland.
Yeah.
Malaysia,
No, but we've got
33
small. No, but population,
no.
But like I said, ratio. But culturally, we it's different. I mean, very different.
Yeah, but culture, but you're at the ground level. You're at the start.
Yeah.
You can create. You can literally create your own thing. Like you've got the opportunity to craft it the way it to your own, the beat of your own drum. Like in Ireland, we're generally playing other people's games. Generally, because the scene's been set. So like to a certain extent, we're always playing other people's games.
I think what I've observed is that there is a sense of a small kind of scene, and because of that, there is a very healthy base of this kind of gotong royong or togetherness kind of feeling without us really kind of realizing it. I only realized it when I visited different singer-songwriter scenes or scenes in general outside and found that, people are a lot more kind of like guarded about that stuff. We're not so, at least in our singer-songwriter scene, I think we just don't kind of realize it, and I think we just don't consciously empower ourselves or consciously kind of make those kind of efforts to facilitate this kind of community thing. We're just kind of like, how you do that thing? Oh yeah, I did this.
Yeah,
I found out this number.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that way, you know. We would more in most cases we would share that kind of info.
But that's interesting. That's interesting point you brought up, man. When I used to organize KL Sing Song, remember, like for 5 years, you know, the singer-songwriter festival sort. It was just that when we stopped doing that, or when we're doing it, some people expect that we would do everything as if we're like some companies that, hey, why you do this? Why you do that? People some people are like that. But like you said, what the positive side was that the community came together, you know, and will help out and offer. Well, like you said, we'll offer. Hey, why do you need help? But of course, there'll be a few who like why you know, that's the usual guy, like the kind of guy you play a gig, after you play a gig, comes up to you. Hey, why don't you play this song, that song? There's always be the asshole somewhere.
But always gotta be that.
But like you said, I think that gotong royong thing is you just gotta be out there. Then people, okay, let's go there. But not enough are going out, I suppose.
And that's one thing also. The not enough going out and putting your face at different scenes, different shows, whether it's your kind of music or not, and not just attending, but going and talking to people and just introducing yourself. Even if you're a nobody or people think you're getting their space, you know, just find a way lah. Just go anywhere you can, go and talk to people. You never know who you're going to meet. You go and play a free show, you never know who's going to be there, who's watching you, who's going to give you a show that's going to sort out the next 3 months or something like that. You know?
Yeah, man. I think especially, and don't be shy to ask. Like, I think I'm pretty sure Brendan has gotten messages from me. Like, you release a nice video, I'm like, hey, who did this? Who did this?
And you have received multiple spam messages from me. Everybody has received.
Yeah.
So
I've tried to tell so many people.
Asking has helped me a lot.
If you don't ask, you don't get. Like,
absolutely.
You don't ask.
And Reza, actually, I have to say, you also like are responsible for a decent percentage of my name going up in the scene.
And I think that should be something that, you know, it's really interesting. Malaysia is almost like an experiment, because you can count on one hand the number of individuals that across the years have just been supporting. But when it happens, or when these people come up, people like Jen Thompson, or like when I was doing Moonshine, there was a few, the Troubadours, Azmail, all these fellas who just like, there's no clear kind of like, it's not in it for the money, you're not getting anything, but just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
When that kind of thing happens, right, it's like, it's really amazing for me. And so for me, it's almost second nature. Like if I meet amazing musicians like you guys, to plug you guys is the easiest thing ever because it doesn't take much effort. And I have personally witnessed how small freaking things are, passing a name, passing a contact, can lead to so much more.
You
And
have,
it's like,
you have
Yep,
to pay
no,
it
really.
You have to
Yep.
pay it forward. You
and
always
it's
have
almost
to pay
like,
it forward.
oh my god, it's you know, I'll take up, you know, people have interviewed me or asked me about this before, and I always kind of use this analogy of like, if you ask any kind of creative, no matter what field, why they do what they do, most of the time they can trace it back to a moment, a song, a gig, a person, one thing, you know. So if you think about it, it's like, and this is the main reason why I organized Moonshine at Laundry for like freaking 9 years.
Decade, man, yeah.
Because you imagine like just doing one show, there might be one kid who might like see the show or see somebody perform and end up to be like, you know, somebody,
Yeah.
someone.
Correct.
And I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you, you know, how can you not do a few emails and get a flyer organized and just show
Yeah,
up?
man.
Like,
Yeah, it's not building a road or anything, you know. It's a human thing. Just whoop, put it like you said, pay
I
it
feel
forward.
like
Yeah.
I feel like our indie scene lacks. Of course, there are a lot of people who do it, but I think there are a lot more people who don't.
I wish
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
were around during the Troubadours Doppelganger Moonshine time, which was like 2008, 2011.
Earlier,
Earlier,
2005.
2005. Okay, yeah, Moonshine 2005.
I remember when you came back from Melbourne. We were at the remember Tengkat Tongshin Troubadour night.
Yes.
And you told me like I want to do a show called Moonshine, and I told you like Moonshine, yeah, that's like illegal liquor. Then you corrected me. I was like moon. And I was like, oh, you meant that? I remember that. That's so cool.
So Reza, when you named it Moonshine, you were referring to the beam of the moon.
No, actually,
No.
I knew that it was illegal liquor. So, but I would tell people that I would on the side say it was the illegal thing because the illegal thing is the thing that reflects the scene. It was something that was like not known. It was something that was kind of underground. Kind of
I
thing.
love the double meaning lah.
But all the drunkards would be like, "Hey, moonshine, huh?"
Yeah,
That's
brilliant
all
lah.
I didn't think
Good
about the moon
branding.
at all until now.
Yeah. If the aunties ask me, then I'll say, yeah, you know, shine, got a light, spotlight.
Spotlight, you know.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
Brilliant.
there was really a special time because Azmail, Jerome, and Sehon had this Troubadours gig. Jasmine Lowe had her Doppelganger gig. I did Moonshine. And then we had Yuri and Kylie that did Project Bazooka and Laundry. We had a few of this. It was like...
Did Yuna come through that scene?
Yuna came through the scene.
Yuna came through that scene.
Yuna, after one of the moonshines, and we went to Uptown to have some dinner, one of the band guys from Other Side Orchestra told me, hey, Reza, you have to check out this girl. She sings really nice on Pakai Tudung. Like, what? And then, hey, you check out her MySpace. Name's Yuna. I went back. I checked MySpace. I heard the stuff. Sounded really good. I messaged her. Found that she had actually messaged me a while ago, telling me that she listens to my songs walking to college. Songs from the EP. I was like, oh, all right. Hey, you want to play at No Black Tie? Because I was organizing shows at No Black Tie at the time. Yeah, sure. Okay. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was her first like gig, like not something that was like family or like a function or whatever. She came in a hoodie, you know, also like tudung, none of the fancy kind of fashion stuff at the time. Came to No Black Tie. She went up and sang and just melted everyone's faces. We were like, what the? Because she's like okay, but also if you've met her, especially in the early days, she's kind of shy. She's kind of like not, you know, super out there, kind of like chill. You know, she went. I was like, what the crap? So I think a few gigs. I definitely booked No Black Tie a few times after that, but pretty soon. I mean, the formula, the formula that she represented back then. Back then, there were no tudung
Tudung
girls
girls,
that were going to
yes.
gigs.
Yep.
There were no tudung girls that were going to gigs. There were no tudung girls that were like fashionable,
Playing
you know.
guitar.
So
Yeah, that's true.
Yuna really kind of revolutionized that identity.
She made it normal. She
Yeah.
normalized the she
Yes.
she made it
She
a
totally
thing.
did.
You can go to gigs. You're fine to go to gigs. The more it's done.
It was
And
amazing
empowered a
because
lot of girls. Empowered a lot of Malay girls. Yeah.
Because before that, it felt a bit weird. If you saw someone like wearing a tudung at the game, it's like, oh, that's kind of strange. But she just made it, and that voice type as well at that time.
Yeah.
Suddenly, so it was interesting because I came from the grunge era, right? So everyone kind of sounded a different way. But then you kind of observe like, oh, everyone has kind of like a Yuna-like voice now. You know,
Oh yeah.
kind of like adopted. So yeah, Yuna came through.
That's good.
So many acts. I remember a guitarist played for one of the Moonshines, played for Fatulistiwa Soundscapes. Fatul used to be
Fatul, yeah.
lead guy
Spirokinetic
for
Circus.
Spirokinetic Circus, like this Kotai band. So anyway, the guitarist, small Malay guy, just like, you know, played session, and at the end he was asking me, I know how to play for this Moonshine thing, and like, oh, you just, you know, send me your stuff, whatever. If you have enough songs, half an hour, whatever. Okay. I have a band. Okay. I'm gonna play. He was fucking AG from Hujan. He was before
AG
Hujan
Koko, yeah.
started. And after that was like this Hujan explosion. So we saw a lot of these bands come through because there were not a lot of platforms. There were just really like two or three platforms at the time. And definitely not the ones that stayed around for like 9 years.
Yeah, and this happened. I mean, because there were less platforms, and you would see the crossover. I remember Hujan playing at Annex Gallery, Joe Kitsch shop. They set up there, and you know, no long hair, but they had it all. They had the t-shirts on, but you know, they had a game plan from beginning. But you know, there was still a scrawny hand with AG. So, but it's interesting. Yeah.
It's super interesting. Actually, we most of the most successful music acts in the past 10 years have been independent acts, number one. Number two, they're not signed. Hujan is not signed to a major label. Yuna, for her the longest time, well, she's not signed to any label here. She's signed now. But all of them, the ones that do well, all have good business sense.
Yeah.
All have good business sense. That's the thing that I noticed that differentiates them. Hujan had but also Dimas, the X-Men manager. Yuna is just smart as fuck. So
very savvy.
Very interesting.
Remember the guitarist had this band called Telephony Delivery. The guitarist, I forgot his name.
He
stayed. Yuna, him, and Rajay, my drummer, stayed on the same road. So I didn't know that. So they're all in USJ. It's like, oh. So I remember going once to Budak Subang. Yeah, Subang, man. Subang needs to brand itself, man. Culture center. The hip hop guys are from there. A lot of shit coming from Subang. I mean, like,
hip hop's kind of died off here now in Malaysia. When I first moved to Malaysia, hip hop seemed to be huge here. There was so much hip hop, especially around the No Black Tie area. There was a few clubs that were open there, and every few times a week they used to have hip hop gigs and stuff like that. But I haven't seen anything.
No more idea. That's true.
I haven't seen any hip hop.
You're right. Actually, it's been a while since I've seen.
Like in about 2015, it was seen to be hip hop seemed to be huge around the Jalan Nagasari area. You got a few clubs beside there used to be a club straight across from what do you call the club? What do you call the bar on Nagasari?
The one at the end?
No, the one beside that. Pisco. There used to be a club straight across from Pisco. It's just an office place now, but
there was this bar called Indiana, like Indiana Jones.
No, it's still there. That's still there. That's
still there.
Indiana.
That's the. I think that's the kind of Bollywood bar. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't want to be good on there. I worked in No Black Tie for 3 years. I never went on there. I used to see strange things going on in and out of there every night.
Strange
things. But anyway, I think it's a good prestige. The Frankie Sixes.
How did it happen, man? Tell me about that.
The Frankie Sixes. In my mind, I was always curious about singing jazz. I had in my mind, I think it came from the same place of having that kind of like hubris, like confidence, not
Yeah.
really aware of yourself. I think I can sing jazz. I think yeah, maybe. But you know, I never really acted on it until somehow randomly I got involved with the local Lindy Hop scene. So Lindy Hop is like a swing dancing scene in KL. That people, I think some of you know Yvonne's part of it.
Yvonne Chong.
Even like Waya Soraya from Impatient Sisters was part of it as well. So I kind of like, you know, joined the community for a bit, and I helped organize some live events for them, essentially because they love dancing to. So Lindy Hop is danced to swing jazz from the 40s and 50s. So and they love dancing to a live band. Like if there's a live band, they're like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" And I'm like, it's okay, but like, really, you can get a band, like the kind of thing, you know. So what I did was, we have a lot of jazz fellas, but we don't have fellas that really play swing. So I would Frankenstein some jazz bands for them and organize a few nights, and then they loved it. And then for one of the nights that I did, I got Jing, who's this amazing pianist, and the pianist in Frankie Sixes, essentially the lineup. Jing, Chit Wan, my double bassist, and KJ. They came in as the Jing trio to play one of those nights, and I told him, "Hey, can I sing the second set?" It's like, "Yeah, sure," as a guest singer. So that was my first kind of proper foray into it with them. Then after that, I asked them whether they wanted to form a band, because I thought, why don't I just start this band for the scene and just, you know, for fun kind of thing. And it was really unexpected and also kind of fun. It was kind of like starting from scratch. It was actually starting a band and not like a solo thing. I always felt like if I had a T-shirt, how weird would it be to have a T-shirt that said Reza Salleh? But now I have a band, so I can put a band name, like small things like this, you know. And it was also unexpected in a way that I thought singing jazz would be easy. But fuck me, it kicks my ass till today. That was a huge lesson. It's made me a better singer, because I had to learn all these songs, all these notes that were outside of my comfort zone. Really, like, and it's done so much for me in that respect. And we started out playing for the dancers, but that didn't happen too often. And we found that, hey, actually we can play for all these regular places, like, you know, Alexis and the Black Tie, and we played like Susie Wong's, and it was great, because it was like there were no originals. We were just playing these covers. I loved the music. I loved singing it. It was just fun. But then, of course, eventually I had itchy backside and decided to try writing. And we have 4 originals now. So
Nice.
waiting for a 5th one, because AIM says that 5 songs means it's an album.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for AIM to revive again. Then we will apply.
A really good band and a really fun band to mix. Like every time I've mixed these, I've absolutely loved mixing. Like, and the first time was the gigs that Chersung arranged upstairs in that mall. What do you call the mall?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you brought the Lindy Hop guys that night, and it was
it was so much fun.
And
writing as well has been a super interesting exercise, because I'm essentially like, okay, need to write a certain style that's danceable. So I have some parameters, you know. So it's a nice kind of songcraft kind of exercise. And I'm continuously kind of like checking with the jazz fellas, like, can this one swing jazz?
Because they're very kind of like they're very like
And I don't come from that background, right? So basically, I'll come up with like a smelly singer-songwriter version of a song, what I think would be a swing jazz song. Then I pass it to them. Then they process it. And I think only just recently, I think the last gig that we played, I actually kind of, because I just finished writing a song that I ran through them, and we now perform. It was based on Tepuk Amai Amai, which is like this nursery rhyme kind of thing, folk song. So we wrote it. So when I finished it during soundcheck, I was like, "Oh yeah, guys, this one okay, right? As a swing jazz song." Like I felt like I needed to check. from time to
Yeah.
time. So okay. Because you feel like you don't want to bastardize it too much.
Yeah.
But it's super exciting, the prospect of being able
Yeah.
to be like a total like covers, like concept kind of band, but at the same time have like originals as well, and actually move towards my plan for myself and even for Frankie Sixers, because they started this indie juara lagu indie, right? They started this
Anugerah
thing.
Indie something.
Anugerah
yeah,
Indie, Anugerah lagu indie.
Anugerah lagu indie. Ali.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely join as myself
Yeah,
as
you
a
should.
writer. But I told the band that I'm gonna sign us up. They're like, okay. And I think it's also as a jazz guy, maybe they think it as an indie thing, like it's a different thing, Jazz, you just play in the jazz circles. But I'm like, no, I think we can, and I think we should totally like just invade the indie scene with this. It's just a different kind of
The
sound.
good thing about the indie scene
Yeah.
is like the indie scene is always open to whatever's come along. As long as there's original good music, everybody's happy to invite it in. Like, doesn't matter what it is. Like, you could get anything from noisecore to bloody a folk singer. Bring it into the indie scene. Like, we're fine. We're fine with it. Like, so like Frankie Six are such a really, really, really good band. Really unique band too from Malaysia. Like,
You already got a tight band there, man. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good.
nice.
Oh, the musicians are fantastic. Those guys are.
They're so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so much fun to play, and it's a different kind of energy. Especially my newer singer-songwriter stuff is a bit like kind of low and a bit more introspective kind of stuff. It's a different kind of night. The Frankie Sixers is really like.
No, that's the fun stuff about having different band project, because you can wear different hat. Tonight, I just want to let go,
Yes. So I'm totally channeling you, Azmail. I'm like, no.
That's great, finally.
Freaking like, what is it? Thunder Coffee Club lah. Like all the
That's
freaking
true.
10,001 bands that this guy has. Great. But all of y'all play for something else, right? I've seen the rest of y'all in random band pictures.
Yeah, these guys.
I used to play for the Propositions, but
Past tense already. Okay.
they found I used to drum, and then they found another drummer, and
They
then
found
they
a drummer.
moved me to.
That's like
And then
me
they
in band
moved me
pictures, lah.
to sing keyboards. But no, I'm just as and when. It's like, oh yeah, you want to play keys? I was like, yeah, okay, come, I'll just do a solo. Yeah, let's go.
But still, it happens. At least you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
that's
nice
good.
though. I have to say, to do something else other than stand behind a guitar. Yeah, it is something else.
And Fabian's in
Refreshing.
Africa,
Fabian's
so
Fabian's got Katrika.
we're just waiting for him to do some recordings with that at some stage.
Yeah.
Soon the waiting room will start a band lah.
Maybe the waiting room. We just call
Derek
waiting
on bass, I on drums, Asmil on guitar and singing.
whatever lah.
On whatever
there is.
lah.
And
Halfway
then
through,
all our
everybody
guests,
just
all our
switch.
guests will be singers.
Everybody gets a mic. All our guest
Yeah.
singers. Wow, very
It's
nice.
like who is in the waiting room tonight? That's the
Oh
guest
my
singer.
God.
Yes. The geek don't know.
Guys.
Don't know who's singing tonight. Wait.
Okay, let's do this, huh?
That'll
All
be-
right, the
okay.
waiting room.
That
Do
would
the
be
job.
okay.
that'll be the thing. Who the fuck singing for
Okay.
this fucking crowd?
I'll be sending demos soon.
Sure. Band photos be tough though. Need to get everybody. There.
No, we just screenshot this lah. That's fine. Our
Yeah,
album
that's
cover
brilliant.
also. Album cover also is this.
Speaking
Yes.
of like, spreading your wings and doing other things, one other thought I was thinking of recently, because one of the songs of the new EP features Anna Chong, which I think most of you know. And that kind of reminded me, especially because recently there was MACP did a payout, right? About how, I don't know if you guys know, but on the Chinese indie side of things, a big part of what they do involves a lot of writing songs for like Hong Kong or Taiwan. That part of the business side is something that they're used to, and it's something I feel that we should really explore more. Like, just being like songwriters and possibly, giving it to
for
other
publishing.
people and stuff like that. And I think because I remember also ages ago, and I think I'm gonna look into this. Like people were like, hey, you should just try and write for the Chinese scene, whatever scene that's different from yours, because we naturally write a certain way, and it's going to be different from what the norm is there, and by
be
that
unique.
token, it'll be unique. So I haven't talked to them yet, but I was thinking of talking to Melina.
Well,
and,
obviously,
and,
the musical qualities here. There's a reason why so many Malaysian musicians toured with big bands in China all the time. Because obviously the qualities here, like in Malaysia, like so, like
sure, yeah.
it's just need to write the songs, like. So, are you
Yeah,
are you on a Chong's manager?
No,
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 Are you managing anybody?
That's some.
no,
I think
just
you should be.
myself.
Just yourself. All right.
Just myself. I do.
Do you find yourself needing a manager? I don't mean to ask this with 4 minutes left.
Okay, so I find that in Malaysia, what's needed more is kind of like a coordinator, because
Yeah.
traditionally the role of a manager, especially in markets like the US, if you go under a manager, you actually accessing their network, you know, and they activate things for you. We don't really have this here. It's possible to kind of do that on your own. I mean, it's case by case lah. But I have found that so far I can, or I just build a team around me. So like for the EP now, I'm working with someone to help me do PR, for example. Just different, just get the team that you need lah, essentially, and figure out what those pieces that you need are as you go along the way. Haven't really found someone that is manager that would fit that role. Because it represents a cut of what you make, so it has to make sense, right?
Yeah, it has to. They have to bring something to the table that's worth 10 or 15 or 20%, or sometimes 30%. I've heard. So like,
yeah.
Okay.
I remember at Merdeka, somebody was playing open mic and they had 2 managers.
Oh my!
I don't know what happened. This kid.
Wow.
Like, for what?
Yes,
for
sir.
what?
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
So
for
mommy
what?
and daddy,
Cool.
yeah.
Paham the word manager. Yeah, exactly.
So Reza,
Oh,
thank
man.
you so much for appearing on episode number 16 of the Waiting Room podcast. And loved having you on.
All the best at
Great
launch,
conversation.
man. And
So for the last,
thank you
I think
so
for the
much.
last minute, we give you the last minute to tell us what's your plans for the future, what's going on now. So last minute is all yours. Take it away, man.
Okay. So if you want to check out my stuff, that's Reza Salleh on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, RezaSalleh. I'm launching my EP digitally on the 24th on Bandcamp, physically in select stores the following week. My first single, Morning Hours, is on Spotify right now. Follow my Spotify and you'll hear the rest of the singles over the next 6 months. What else is there to be said? I really love the record. Thanks so much for having me. I think it's great that I'm also happy to hear that this podcast exists, because I think these kind of conversations need to be had more, and it was an honor to be here, and I look forward to you guys doing more. Thanks,
Absolute
guys.
pleasure to have you. Once again, Waiting Room number 16. Thank you very much, Reza
Number
Salleh.
16, yeah.
Sweet 16.
Okay.
Good night,
Alright.
guys.
Send in the